Welcome to this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice. Today we'll go through the sequence of practices where we get ourselves settled and centered. We'll work with posture a little bit, and then working on being present. Mindfulness means your mind is full of your experience in the present moment. And that we train ourselves at first because the mind wants to wander off into the past and future, but we start by training ourselves to use our body and our breathing as our anchor for the present moment. Once we've done some of that training and can really distinguish that feeling of going off into the past or future in our minds and being present, then we work with our presence to expand our awareness to the environment. And the environment is both the physical environment of our sense perceptions and our mental environment of the thoughts that are arising. And the real key to working with the thoughts that are arising is to be clear about what we're identifying with. This is really critical as far as our mindfulness practice goes. Mind is awareness, overall awareness. Thoughts are contents that arise in the space of that awareness. My teacher said, do your best to not let your mind take the shape of your thoughts. In other words, if we start identifying with the thought, that fills all of our awareness. All of our other perceptions and any other and our experiences, our sensations, all go to the background, and we're completely occupied with this thought. We identify with it and then start to believe in it, and then that leads to other thoughts, to other thoughts, to other thoughts, and that's how we create our emotional karma, shall we say. So instead, if you identify with the awareness, you say, oh, that's a thought that's popping up. The metaphor that's used is the ocean and its waves. If you identify with the ocean, that's a wave that came up and then subsided. There's another wave that came up and then subsided. So thoughts come up out of the ocean of our awareness, are very vivid. Sometimes there's a really big wave, and then subside and become part of that ocean again. Because of our speed of one thought following another, we start to think that they're continuous. But it's really more like frames of a movie, that when they move, when they're like still shots, that when they're put together, it gives the impression of motion. So that's why we have this impression. If we identify with the space in which the thoughts are arising, then we go, oh, there's an interesting one. Then when we have that space, we have some perspective on our thoughts. The space allows us to respond rather than react. If there's no space, boom, knee-jerk reaction. It's like a mental reflex. But if there's space, then you go, oh, it's interesting that thought arose right then. Do I need to do something about it? Maybe, maybe not. So that's the basis of our mindfulness and awareness practice. What we'll do at the end of the session is a compassion practice, and there are a lot of varieties of that. There's working with self-compassion, working with others, kindness and caring towards loved ones, kindness and caring towards people who give us difficulty, working on the relationship with people who give us difficulty, and the challenges of the seemingly, I think there's something called a Gordian knot, where no matter how you try to untangle it, it just gets more tangled. And it seems like there are so many situations in the world today that are like that. So how do you work with that in your state of mind? So we'll explore some of those at the end of the session. So let's begin. And we're going to start with our eyes closed to kind of settle and center, but then we're going to do a lot of the practice with our eyes open, because the point of mindfulness is not to do it now and then not have any mindfulness through the day, and we walk around with our eyes open. So we'll be doing the practice with our eyes open. So it's important to move your device or move your seat so that you're not looking directly into the screen. Okay. So let your eyes gently close. I'm going to ring a gong between sessions, so the sound of the gong as it fades, just settle into your body. We're going to work with a good posture, because if you're slumped, you get drowsy and your mind gets dull. And if your chin is up in the air and your head is tilted back or sticking out, you tend to get ahead of yourself and start getting caught up in lots and lots of thoughts. So if the breathing flows well, it's helpful to make the breathing flow well. It's helpful to have a very upright posture, upright but not stiff and rigid. You want to imagine that there's a straight line between your tailbone and the back of the top of your head. There's actually some curve there, but it's the feeling, the sensation. What you feel doesn't have to be real. It creates an intention of uprightness. And if you keep that straight line to the back of the top of your head, your chin naturally tucks in a tiny bit, rather than tilted down or tilted up or sticking out. Work with your seat so that you're balanced. You can tilt a little left to right and forward to back to find that center where the weight's evenly distributed on your sit bones. And you don't feel like you're tilted one way or another. Your legs, if you're sitting in a chair, your feet can be flat on the floor, about hip width apart. But if your legs are long and your knees are higher than your hips, it puts a strain on your legs and backs. You have to work back. You have to work a little too hard. So just cross your legs right under your knees at the ankles or so. And let your legs widen out a little bit so that the knees are a little bit lower than the hips. Your arms, your upper arms, let them hang straight down, not reaching forward or pulling back. And your hands palm down on each thigh, respectively. You may find it helpful to raise your breastbone just a tiny bit up and forward, just a quarter of an inch, a centimeter up and forward. And it opens your chest. It brings your shoulders back into line with your ears very naturally. You can feel a tiny pinch in your shoulder blades without doing anything but raising that breastbone. And it opens our heart. So we'll be able to have compassion for ourselves and others. And we have an uplifted quality from it, dignified head and shoulders. So we're like warriors or monarchs on our seat or a throne. It's good to have that feeling of self-dignity. Again, the chin is not tilted. Your jaw is relaxed, but your mouth isn't hanging open, so your lips can be very lightly touching or slightly parted. We want to breathe in through our nostrils. When we breathe out, mainly through our nose, but some can come out through our mouth as well. It's not a problem if your lips are slightly parted. And let's first fully inhabit our bodies. Sometimes it's like we're in our heads and walking around, and our body is our chauffeur, but we're not really connected to it. So let's go down to the tips of our toes. You can even wiggle your toes a little bit, wiggle your feet and ankles. Be in your feet, be in your ankles and your calves. Feel that. That's part of your being, not just a walking, talking head. Feel your knees, your thighs, hamstrings, your hands and your forearms. Now your hips, sit bones. You can move a little and see how your legs are connected to your hips. Really feel the lower part of your body, how it connects into your torso. Feel your torso. Often we also act like we're like our mirror image, which is two-dimensional, but we're actually three-dimensional. Feel the the depth front to back of your torso as well as side to side. It's filling, it's expanding as you breathe in. Your lower back and deep belly, everything. Your upper back and chest. Your shoulders. Move your shoulders a little. See how your arms are connected to your torso. So we have our limbs, we have our torso, your upper arms, biceps and triceps, elbows, forearms and hands. Hands are on our thighs, so it makes a kind of circle of energy. Your shoulders, neck, and how your head is balanced on your neck and onto your shoulders and torso. That's where the upright posture connects with balance as well. Now we've energized and inhabited our body, and we need a certain amount of tension to hold our posture. We need tension when we're walking, when we're doing things as we go through our day. But we don't need excess tension. And sometimes we're not aware of how much we carry with us. So let's scan back down from the top of our head, forehead. Do you have a furrowed brow and your eyes? Just soften all of that. Ears and jaw. Often there's tension in our jaw and we're not even realizing it, a clenching. Just enough tension to keep your lips where they are. Let the rest relax and soften around that. Neck and shoulders. That's the big culprit. We walk around with our shoulders much closer to our ears than we realize. And sometimes it's so ingrained, it's hard to just let our shoulders fall. So we'll do a little bit of work with that. Raise your shoulders up and really tense them for about 3 seconds. And don't push down, but just now let go. Let them fall. They may be a little lower than you've experienced in a while. Scan for tension in your chest, upper back, and upper arms. Just let it soften as if it's going to melt and flow down and out of you and into the earth. Rib cage all around, solar plexus, stomach. Sometimes the stress appears there, also in our lower back and deep belly, all the way into our pelvic region. There's clenching and subconscious clenching, and we don't even realize it. Again, if it's helpful, just clench everything down there and then release. Hips, thighs, forearms, and hands. Let the tension melt. If you feel it in your hands, again, you can clench your fists for a couple of seconds and then just let go. Knees and calves, ankles and feet. Let your awareness come up from there just to your deep core again. The body breathes by itself. You were breathing when you weren't particularly paying attention to it just now. The body takes care of that for you. You don't have to work on your breathing. You don't have to control it. But let's just be mindful of our breathing and notice deep in our core, our diaphragm is going down and up, pulling the air in and pushing it out. But it feels like our core is filling as we breathe in, emptying as we breathe out. And for this part of the practice, let your eyes open about halfway, looking down under your eyelids. The direction of your gaze is just a couple of feet in front of you. Whatever your vision encounters, don't fix on that. Just soften your gaze so that you're looking at the space that your body is sitting in. The space between you and wherever your vision is resting. And as the gong fades, just set your intention to be with awareness, mindfulness of your internal feeling of filling and emptying as the breath goes in and out, as an observer rather than a controller. And if your mind wanders off into one thought followed by another into a daydream, which the mind is likely to do, there's no need to judge. Just smile and go, that's wandering. Back to present. Body, breathing, awareness. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. If you've gotten sleepy or drowsy and your eyes closed, just reinvigorate your posture, raise your breastbone a little bit, and let your eyes open naturally. Look out a little further. If your mind seems continually occupied by thoughts, focus your awareness on your deep core, and you can even count: 1 on the in-breath, 2 on the out-breath, up to a number of your choosing, and then start again. Now I want to introduce a little practice that you can do mindfulness on the go in just about any situation. And that is, bring your hands in, again, palms down, and wrap your one hand over the thumb of the other, giving it a gentle hug. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. Then wrap your hand around your index finger. Breathe in, slowly breathe out. Then your middle finger. In, slowly out. Ring finger. In, slowly out. And little finger. And switch and do the same with the other hand around your thumb. Index finger. Middle finger. Ring finger. And little finger. And now you've had 10 mindful breaths. You've engaged your body, your breathing. And so it's a way to connect with your presence in most any situation. And now reinvigorate your posture. We move from mindfulness of breathing to awareness of the environment. And we use the breath to open ourselves out. We're usually so this oriented, me oriented. So rather than focusing more on the in breath, we just let our mind go with the out breath. Let your gaze be out naturally, wherever your eyes are resting ahead of you. They won't be all the way up to the horizon. They won't be looking down, somewhere in between. And soften your gaze. Open your field of vision. You may have to soften your face muscles a little bit. Open your eyes, open your field of vision, side to side, above and below. And the breath goes out into the space in the room in front of you and mixes with the atmosphere. As it goes out, just go out with it. Let your awareness open up. And when the breath is done going out and you're open to the environment, the body breathes in by itself. And you go out, open, and rest in the spaciousness. If you're out and open to the environment, the breath comes in. You don't necessarily have to start over and go out again on each breath. Do it as much as you'd like, as often as you'd like. But if your mind fills with thoughts, you need to come back to the body, start again, out, open, and rest in spaciousness. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. Now, maintaining that connection to open awareness, let go of the breath as the particular object of attention, and let your mind be open. That open awareness is the nature of your mind. Within that spacious awareness, perceptions arise. Sights, sounds, smells, tastes, bodily sensations. And thoughts arise in that as well. The sense perceptions come to the foreground and background one at a time. Wherever your mind rests, just notice what you're seeing, colors, shapes, shades of light and dark. What you're hearing, sounds near and far, loud and soft, high and low pitched. Smells or tastes, bodily sensations, where they are in your body. And notice, for our practice today, your mental reaction to whatever sense perception your mind is resting on. What is your reaction to what you are seeing? Like, dislike, neutral? Same for all the other sense perceptions. Notice if further comments arise about what you're seeing, hearing, or feeling, smelling, or tasting. You can move your posture a little bit, refresh. And in this last section on compassion, you can do this. We're going to use our thoughts. It's more of a contemplation than a meditation. We're going to use our thoughts, and you can either have your eyes open or closed. And because we're going to relate with our heart, both not necessarily our physical heart, but our feeling, heartfelt feeling of caring. You can even put your hand over the center of your chest at heart level. It's up to you. And begin with yourself. Just feeling what you've felt: pain, physical or mental, distress, sadness, anxiety, maybe anger that you're not comfortable with, irritation, frustration, any negative feelings. And say it's okay to feel that way. These feelings come and go. Imagine that you can gather them together in your heart as you breathe in. Take in those feelings, and your heart of kindness transforms them and breathes out ease, patience, acceptance, comfort, relief. Breathe in struggle you're having with yourself. Breathe out relief. Even if you think you're having a struggle with others, you're experiencing that struggle. Breathe that in. Give yourself relief. Give yourself a break. Breathe in a grudge you're feeling. Breathe out letting go. Not worrying about it. Breathe in any fears you're having about what's coming up. Breathe out confidence and courage to yourself. You can handle it. Take your worries into your heart. Breathe out confidence to yourself. Now, knowing how good it feels to be kind to yourself, how painful it is when we're not. Know how many other beings in the world are going through that. And as you breathe in, imagine that you could take all the worries of all beings in the world, absorb them into your heart, and send out relief. It's okay. There are beings for whom it's not so okay. Breathe in the pain that they're going through, and at least send the wish out. I wish you had safety. I wish you had relief from your pain. I wish there was peace. And go deeper to the emotions behind all of the harmful actions that are happening, all the harm beings are causing to each other out of the poisonous emotions of hatred, fear, ignorance, closed-mindedness, envy, greed. Imagine that you could absorb all of those negative feelings into your heart of compassion and transform them into positive energy of understanding, open-mindedness, caring, kindness. Breathe in and free all beings from the clutches of these poisonous emotions. Breathe out and fill them instead with the wonderful qualities of love, understanding, and kindness. As you're doing that, you include yourself. Whatever negative emotions have been occupying you, gather them into your heart and fill your being with understanding, acceptance, patience, kindness. As the gong fades, let go of your contemplation. Come back to your core. Feel your body, your breathing, the space you're in. Now we conclude the session, and this is very traditional, that we're not just doing this for ourselves, but as we did in the last part, the wish for the world to be a better place. And so it's more powerful to do this practice with the intention of not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of others. So you can repeat after me or put in your own words. May the practice we have just done be of benefit to others even more than to ourselves. And thank you for your participation in this mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice.